Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay, the #1 source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Poro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Welcome back to another Mastering Runeterra podcast episode.
That's correct, yep.
Nice. With Jay and Bay. We got a great show for you today. We're going to leave that first take in there. Normally I do 2 or 3 of these, and then I just cut out whatever, the ones that are not great.
I don't even prepare for the first one. I'm just like...
Yeah.
Because it's never right.
One time I nailed the first one, and then Bay was like, oh, you're not doing more? Oh, you just had nothing to say. Like, yeah. So then we had to do it all over again, because Bay's not ready. Classic. So... Let's see, before we jump into anything, we obviously have to thank our Patreon, all of our patrons that support us. Thank you guys so much. For anyone that doesn't know, we have a Patreon team set up. We do 3-hour weekly calls with everyone on Thursdays. We record them, we upload them. Each week, depending on which tier you're on, you can submit a video of yourself playing, and then we go over it in the team call. Bay and I also submit our own videos. They're just a great way to learn. They're absolutely fantastic. You know, man, like this last week we had, it was like something like, you know, someone had a play that was attacking with like a Sivir, and we went over it for, I don't even know, like 10 or 15 minutes, going backwards and forwards and like looking at this one play in this game. And there was a bunch of different ways to look at it. We crunched some numbers on it and stuff. And, you know, the game is very, very deep, and it feels like there's a limitless amount that you can learn, because there's just so much. And by the time you do learn a deck, or you do learn a strategy super well, everything freaking changes, and now what your opponent's doing has changed. And like, so one of the great things about the game, and one of the reasons that we started Mastering Runeterra, that we could help each other and as a group learn and move forward, kind of thing. So if you haven't checked that out, highly recommend it. And then also, thank you guys for supporting us. Obviously, the money that we make goes to bringing you guys YouTube videos and this podcast. And eating. Occasionally, we do eat. It's not often, but boy, that just makes the gas station jerky taste that much better. We also have to thank our sister podcast, Runeterra Radio. Saucy Lovin's the best. Love those guys. If you want more awesome Runeterra content, go check them out. All the usual places, YouTube, Spotify, whatnot. Runeterra Radio. Love you guys so much. All right. So today's episode gonna be a little bit different. We're talk a little bit about Runeterra, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what it's like to be a Runeterra pro, whether it be like professional player or professional content creator, streamer, YouTuber. A little bit about what goes behind the scenes, about like what our everyday in and out looks like, stuff that we're doing. A little bit about where we've come thus far and kind of where we're hoping to take things. And if you're looking to, follow in those footsteps as well, maybe impart a little bit of knowledge and information onto you on what to expect and what that looks like.
Some helpful tips as well.
Yeah, man, that's speaking of Runeterra being a never-ending stuff to learn. Being a content creator or player, never-ending stuff to learn also.
But first,
to
Runeterra.
Start, yes. Should we talk about the ladder a little bit?
We should. So I'll go first because mine's pretty short. I hit 550 LP and then stopped. And then several times instead of playing on my Smurf, I would play on my phone, and it would be auto logged into my main account, and I would just queue up a ranked game on my main account where I was trying to camp LP. So now I'm at 640 LP.
Subtle brag. You lost a couple at first, though. Eh? You dropped below 550.
I lost one and went down to 525, and I was like, oh no. And then I won one, and it put me up to 540, right? But I'm like, that's not enough. And then I won one, and I went up to like 560 because they were higher ranked, so I went up 20 LP. And I was like, well, now I got 10 LP to lose. I could probably play.
I got some LP to play with. I can only imagine going to the casino with you and just being like, woo.
I was like, it's fine. Whatever.
Now we got $10 to burn. We got all
I'm
black.
playing on House's money. It's fine. Whatever. It's okay. Yeah. So I ended up at 640. I played mostly Fiora Shen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm very interested. So for anyone that doesn't know, Fiora Shen has popped back on the scene after, basically fallen totally off the map after Fiora got nerfed. And so, tell me about that deck. Why is it good? Is it, was it just good at that time? Do you think it's still good? Is it good in tournaments, maybe?
I mean, it's like Jarvan Shen, but it's a less like complete deck. You're clearly looking to take advantage of some decks. Those decks being mostly like Azirelia, and then pretty much any deck that like spams the board with smaller units. So I find that like Pirates is easier. GP Sejuani is a little bit easier and stuff like that. You have like a bunch of combat tricks. You don't just play the 3 sharp sights. You're playing like a couple twin disciplines, and you're more focused on the Fiora play. And you play 3 copies of Young Witch because like Young Witch into Fiora is like such a strong play, especially like with rallies. Young Witch is kind of insane because like whatever you gave quick attack and +1 still has quick attack and +1. So like it's so easy to just wipe an opponent's board with like Young Witch, a challenger unit, and like anything else.
Totally.
Like, yeah, I've had turns on turn like 5 where I have like Shen, Fiora, Young Witch, and I just like, game's just over, right? Because I just like attack, rally, attack. It's nuts. But
yeah,
the deck
one
like,
thing to
has some flaws.
keep in mind, I just want to point out, do you ever notice this? Like, so if you're either playing the deck or playing against the deck, like, if you give something quick attack and then it's not in combat, it doesn't show that as quick attack again. So like, it's not until you starts attacking again. So so pay attention to what your opponent has given quick attack to, or what you've already given quick attack to, because oftentimes that will like fly under the radar with the witch especially.
Yep. And then so that happened. Yeah, I played some Fiora Shen. I think Shen J4 is like a better deck. But Fiora Shen has better lineups against some specific things, specifically like Azirelia and some of the other small unit decks. But yeah, I think J4 Shen is a better, more well-rounded deck. So it's totally a meta call. Or if you're trying to like target something, then Fiora Shen could be like a really good pickup. And then other than that, I've just been like ranking up the Smurf. Not really something I put a priority on. Like, at no point during this playing the Smurf this season was I like trying to rank up the Smurf. I was mostly just using it for streaming on Twitch and YouTube content and stuff, and playing random games every now and then, trying out some crazy strategies and stuff. Right, whatever our teammates throw in the team Discord, where they're like, "Hey, I think Twisted Fate Viego is really good," and I'm like, "Well, I guess I gotta try that." And so I'll throw a game or two of that on that account. Just made it to Masters last night. I played a decent amount of like Gangplank Sejuani. I played a lot of Viego. Played a lot of like Ionia Viego. Yeah, both the old Deathmark one and the Thresh one.
What are your thoughts there? Because that's also a deck that I haven't put a lot of time into.
I think the Thresh one has some serious legs. It's quite strong. I made a YouTube video on it like I don't know, yesterday or something, and then someone commented, they're like, "This deck is bad. This deck feels bad. Every time I play it, like, if you don't draw earlier units, you lose." And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm like 9-0 on this deck. And they're like, well, that's just because streamers cut out all the decks they lose. And I'm like, but I'm like 9-0 on this deck.
Look, it couldn't possibly be the deck list, okay? What, you think it's me? That's not me. Okay, just because you and I play the same deck and you have a higher win percentage than I do, like that's not me. That's like variance. That's luck, bro.
Yeah. To be fair, like 8 or 9 games is not a sample size of like any amount, right? But I just thought that interaction was kind of funny, so I decided to share. Yeah, so I think that deck like
that was actually me, by the way. That was,
it was
after
you on your ult.
You were like, hey Jason, here's this deep list, and I like go 0-3 or 0-4 with it. I'm like, nah, you can have that back. And then it's like, oh, Viego, I pick it up, and I'm like, okay, bro, like that's it.
Stop
basically all the haters,
garbage.
all the haters on your YouTube are just like different J alt accounts.
Yeah, they're just you. Yeah. Who's upset because I lost you LP. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I think like main takeaways is I think Shen decks are adaptable to whatever meta you expect, and I think GP Sejuani is like the real deal, which is like being shown. I don't know if you've looked at like Runeterra.ar, but like in the top like 20, it's like half GP Sejuani. Like that deck is the real deal.
Yeah.
And people are playing it a lot because it's new, and it beats the boogeyman. It beats the Sivir decks, and people are tired of losing to Sivir decks. So expect to see a lot of GP Sedge in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it beats a lot of things. I got turned on to it when I lost with Lisa and Zoe, and I was like, oh, that felt bad. Like, I was like, I had a commanding lead, was like just way ahead, and they just slammed Sejuani, and I was like, oh, this is not good. Okay, I'll bounce it. Oh, they play it back out. I'll kick it. Oh, they play it back out. All my pump stuff is like sorcery speed, or sorry, slow speed. Like, this is not cool, and I just lost.
Yep.
And that's when I was like, you know what, I have to actually give this deck a try. And it turns out that it's good against a lot of stuff. It just has some raw power to it. So that's actually what I've been playing on the ladder, like exclusively over the last, I don't know, few days, 4 or 5 days. And the deck's good for sure, but I think people are already have adapted to it because it's been out for a while now. And more people are picking it up, like you're saying. So I find that there are a lot of bad matchups, obviously, also. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Go Hard was pretty tough. So linear things can be tough. Sometimes like discard aggro or pirates or Jinx Lulu.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's running
like
around.
things with burn is tough.
Yes, the burn,
because you don't heal.
There's actual burn decks. There's a lot of that. I saw a lot of those.
And you don't block very well.
No.
Like your best curve is like 1, 2, 3. Right?
Yeah. And you don't race very well either.
No. You really don't.
That's the problem.
Sometimes the deck performs best, in my opinion, against decks that are either just dead to level Sejuani. This is like Sivir.
Yeah, this is Sejuani. Yeah.
Yeah. Or decks that have a hard time dealing with the 1-drops. This is like Ez-Karma, most Ezreal decks, like Ez-Karma, Ez-Raven. Like these decks can't deal with the 1-drop. I was playing Spooky Karma, and I also I have Go Hards in a 1/1 on 1. I can't profitably deal with your 1-drop on 1.
Yeah, I remember those games, bruh.
And I lost. Yeah, like those 1-drops would just give me so much trouble. So much trouble.
Yeah.
So I think those are like its best matchups. The deck, the first time I ran across it, it just leveled Gangplank on 5 and killed me, and I was like,
it levels its champions extremely fast.
I was like, this has to be an anomaly, and it is. But leveling by 6 is not out of the norm at all. It's like pretty standard, I feel like.
Yeah, and both of those champions are very good on their own, and then leveled, they're like borderline insane, take over a game. The boat that goes and gets
Dreadway.
Dreadway, very good. And then also the new spell that deals 5 damage for 3 mana. You know what it's called?
Yeah. Harpoon. Monster Harpoon.
The Harpoon is it's insane. That without that card in the deck, like that changes everything. Like you just couldn't deal with a lot of large units. There's a bunch of things that would just kind of like run away with the game. like an Ezreal or Karma late, even just like a Draven early. There's all kinds of just like problematic
Shen or something, right? But now you just
Shen. Yeah, and now you just got 3 mana kill it. It's like, whoo, and that deck fucks it
mana
real
efficient.
easy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it's not. It's you can see why the decks kind of come back together because when you look at it on paper, it looks like just a pile of cards. It just looks so unimpressive.
It looks like the Gangplank list in the past, right? You're like, okay, yeah, you're trying to like, level Gangplank. Wow, that's real cool.
That's
and then like
cute.
The deck's very good at it, and then I don't know, maybe the format's just in the right place for like the first time, but like Ruination is at an all-time low. And
that's true.
These decks kind of struggle against Ruination a bit. And
not great.
I feel like the Shadow Isles Freljord control decks would like beat this deck up. They have healing.
Oh yeah.
They have avalanches.
Oh
they have
god.
ravines,
Could you imagine TLC?
Yeah. You
TLC
can't beat
to this deck?
Like, no chance.
It'd be a nightmare.
And so
that makes sense.
These decks just aren't there, which allows this kind of strategy to like kind of come into the limelight. So I'm happy to see it. Like I think it's cool. I like new things, but yeah, expect to see a lot of this deck if you haven't already.
Yeah, I expect to see a lot of it at Seasons too. I think a lot of people will be picking it up.
I think a lot of people
to the point where like I was gonna bring it, and now I'm low key kind of thinking about trying to find a lineup that's similar, but like is good into it.
That was because one day you were on it yesterday.
No, I mean like I've been on it for a while. So like since Henneke beat me last weekend, I like started playing the deck after that. And I was doing very well with it, and then like maybe like 2-3 days ago I was playing it a lot and realized how good it was. Was seeing Twitter posts about it, was seeing how common it was on the ladder. I'm like, oh, a lot of people are going to be bringing this to seasonals. But I don't know if I'm just like going one step too far there or what. Which actually brings me to another point I wanted to ask you about. Do you ever notice that you don't play mirror matches on the ladder that much?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of decks. But you're right.
There are a lot of decks, but
I haven't played the Plunder mirror match yet, and I've played probably 15 games of it.
I don't think I have either. And I've played like more like 50 to 100 games.
Yeah, I mean I probably played more than 15 as well, but like, yeah, that's true, huh? Now I have played mirror matches, obviously, right?
And I've played against it a crap ton with every other deck
all the time. Yeah,
that I've played. And I was wondering about that. I was thinking back. I'm like, I feel like that happens quite a bit. I feel like there's lots of times where I'm like playing against a deck, and I pick it up, and then I don't see that deck so much anymore. It's like it does happen. Like action Sivir decks.
I played that mirror a bunch, but because every single person was playing that deck.
I played that mirror a bunch also, but that's like the only one. And also, I'm like everyone's list are a little bit different. You got Zed, you got Action, you got different amounts. Anyway, so I don't know. I
don't think there's any trickery there. I think it might just be like.
I mean, there's different things. Like Best of One in Magic has hand smoothing, and I think people didn't know about it for a while or something.
No,
I can't remember.
It was like a big deal when people found out.
Yeah, there was some. I feel like we did know, but there was a big deal about starting. I can't really remember. Yeah, I don't know. It was just very, very interesting to me that I just played it a bunch with all the other decks, and then as soon as I picked it up, I just never saw the mirror ones. I have played a bunch of mirrors
with like other decks. I feel like I literally just haven't played a mirror with the Plunder deck. Like I played like Shen Jarvan a bunch. I played like Ezreal Draven mirrors a bunch. Viego mirrors a bunch.
I'm not saying it doesn't.
Yeah. It's just it was funny because we were talking about Plunder, and I have not played that mirror. I was like, huh, interesting.
Yeah, what's important in the mirror? Don't know. Haven't played it for some reason.
Don't know. Haven't played it. Yeah.
Speaking of ladder, unless you had anything else to say about Plunder.
Nope.
Okay. I was so segueing a little bit into what it's like to be a full-time Runeterra player / content creator. I have found myself getting a little burnt out and just unsatisfied with like the ladder. I find it I've like become sort of frustrated with it because I mean you're not flipping coins, but you're kind of flipping coins.
And you gotta win more coin flips than you lose, like a lot more.
Just like there's some matchups. So like let's take Gangplank Sejuani. Like the burn matchups are like like they're just like almost impossible to win. They're so difficult. You do everything you can, but like they're just gonna throw their burn at your face, and there's basically you have no tools to defend that. And then you go up against like I don't know Sivir, which I don't really want to target specifically because Sivir's such a good deck, it can just blow you out. But like some of the good matchups, it's just like you just cakewalk them, and it's just like I don't know, you just end up like boop boop up down. And don't get me wrong, obviously there's lots of skill involved. Look at JO1, just like 1,000 LP, no big deal. Two different servers every single season.
On multiple things. It's
fine, I really want him to come to NA though and like show us what's up. I'm like, what's going on over there on those other servers that he just like got more LP on both of them than like anyone has on NA? Like, what is? I don't know, it's confusing to me. But obviously he's really good. He also crushes seasonals when it rolls around. Anyways, and so it's not very satisfying. It's like kind of it's like going in circles. It just gets boring. Frankly, that's, I think, really the crux of it. I've gotten somewhat bored, even though there's still stuff to be learned. There's still important information to be gleaned. There are a lot, like I said, there's a lot of these decks that I'm not expecting to see too much at seasonals, like the burn decks, or like, I don't know, maybe Jinx, Lulu. We'll probably see some of that, but like, I feel like those decks are not going to be really crushing it at seasonals, and I'm just playing against them a bunch, get my face smashed in, and it's like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I even doing this? This isn't like, this is so, like, it feels kind of pointless.
It feels like non-productive.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like I'm not practicing for seasonals, and I'm just like trying to do this thing so I can have like a good tiebreaker at seasonals, and just a whole bunch of work, a whole bunch of slamming my head against the wall when like it doesn't have to be like this. And then also, I'm like, if I'm not playing that, what am I playing? Like, well, there's not a big tournament going on anywhere. There's the fun stuff. There's like labs and whatnot, but like I want to play competitively, and so I'm like, there's just, I feel like there's not anything for me to do. And I wrote this in like our team chat, and then I was immediately like, oh yeah, this is, what if I just not play ladder at all?
Like literally just doesn't play ladder.
Yeah, and I get it. I don't really like ladder either. That's what we were talking about, best of 3 all the time. Like, please give us best of 3. And it could be scrimming. This is like playing best of 3 with friends for practice. But again, it's like, it's kind of boring. It's like doing work, because there's nothing on the line. You're learning, yes, but I don't know.
I like to have stakes. No, I get you. I could never go to like a casual Magic the Gathering tournament. Never.
Oh yeah, no. It's, or like people that want to play poker for fun. Like,
no, what are we playing for? Oh, we're just playing. It's like, no thanks, I'll do something else.
I would rather do anything else. That sounds like a giant waste of time. It's not enjoyable. And you see that also a lot of, like, my friend was an Olympic swimmer, and or he was Olympic qualified at least. And so he swam his whole life. You can imagine how much they someone that goes to Olympics practices, to the point, and he's a teacher now. And they're like, hey, like, come like race me, like, come like, come swim with us. He's like, I don't give a flying F. Like, nah, I don't ever need to swim ever again the rest of my life. Doesn't, like, just hates it. Like, does not want to like swim ever, because he's just done it so much. It just like gets the joy out of it. And I'm not quite at that level just yet, but it's
not quite that jaded.
Yeah, I'm not quite that jaded just yet. And it's weird, though, because I don't know. There's other things, like, I'm trying to think of, if you're a professional baseball player and you go to practice and whatnot. I mean, I guess eventually you get kind of tired, maybe. But, like, I enjoy practicing, like, softball and baseball, but maybe that's because I'm bad. Not that I'm so good at Runeterra. But, yeah, something about it, doing it alone, I think that's also a big one.
That's tough. There's no social aspect. used to really enjoy sitting and testing matchups for Magic, but I'm sitting down with people I'm testing with, and we're shooting the shit. We're talking. We're like walking through this, right? Like we do basically the same thing on the team calls, like that we were mentioning earlier. And it not only feels more productive, but it's more fun.
Yeah.
Where we talk about it with a bunch of different people, right? So the social aspect of just playing ladder is missing, and I think the solution is to do kind of what Am I does, which is just be like, screw ladder, I don't care. I'm just gonna scrim, and that's what he does. He just scrims, and you can just sit on like a call with whoever you're scrimming and be like, let me know what you think about this play, or whatever, and like stuff like that. Like what here's my hand. What would you do here? Because I really like that stuff, and I think it's very productive. Because I totally get it. Ladder can be awful. Like during the Aurelia Azir era, every time I queued up for a ladder match, I was just like, oh my god, this sucks.
Yeah, why did I pick that season to go ham on the ladder?
Yeah, right. You just played it nonstop because you like threshing asses.
Well, I wanted to do good on the ladder, and that was the only deck that I could do any good with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm sorry. What top 20? Not good enough.
30.
Oh, top 30. Oh, my name's Jason. I was only top 30 in the Americas.
Yeah, you know what's fun? Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Whatever. I deserve that. I will say though that I'll be lucky if I make top 30 this season. Because I want to try and get that 7-2. I forgot to mention, I have been slowly climbing with GP Sejuani, very slowly.
What are you at right
now? Somewhere around between 240 and 280. I don't know. I've been bouncing around there.
It's a good start. It's good jumping
the
off
last
point.
Day. Yeah, considering I have 2 weeks left, I'm like, okay, if I can just grind it out a little incrementally, it is what it is. But back to our thing. Yeah, so there's people, we do that in our Discord, not only for our team calls, but people will, get in there, start playing on the ladder, share it to everyone else. Other people will jump in. You can, play together. And that's super fun.
Fun.
Yeah, this has to be something that Riot knows about, right? Because, the social aspect of these games is super important.
Yeah, they tried with the two-headed giant lab.
Right.
Which is the co-op lab.
Yeah.
But
which is
I
cool.
think that
was very cool.
As well implemented as it could have been. Yeah, so they know, right? And this has been a complaint about Magic Online and Magic Arena since the dawn of time. Same thing with Hearthstone. Is that just playing ladder by yourself is a lonely experience. It's not like other competitive games because they're usually multiplayer. And even in maybe a fighting game where it's a single player game, I feel like you have a little bit more of a connection with the person you're playing against.
It's also super fun to watch and fast paced, and you take turns and stuff.
Yeah, you're oh, it's exciting, right? Not that playing Runeterra isn't. It can be, but a lot of it's slower. It takes longer. Yeah. That kind of stuff. So I'm gonna give my perspective right now, where I'm at right now. Like I said, last season with the Zirelia, I hated it. I hated playing ladder. Every time I queued into a game and I got a Zirelia, I just wanted to get up and turn my camera off and leave. It was so bad. Which sucks because I love the game and I love so many of the other decks that I wanted to play. And
it's your job.
And it's my job, yeah. And we'll get into that in a second. So I hated ladder last season, but I like ladders. I love just playing.
Competing.
I love to compete. I love to just show. I love the ability of just being I'm doing something on my other monitor. Oh, I have to wait 10 minutes. Runeterra, right? I just play a game and have a good time, and then I go back to doing whatever I was doing. Or maybe I really think I have an edge on the meta, so I play for a bunch or something. And I love that. So I'm I've been having a lot of fun on this ladder. Except for against the Zirelia. I still hate that deck. But yeah, and then we get into the real crux of the issue, which is if you're just a normal person, you just walk away. Right? If you're super burnt out on ladder, which happens to everyone who's super seriously trying to compete, getting burnt out is just part of the equation. It happens to all of us. But like most people can just be like, okay, I'm not enjoying this. Like I'm just gonna go play Apex Legends for a week or something, right? But if you're trying to compete and be like the best, or you're a content creator, or both, you can't exactly just leave. You can, right? You can. And like people will tell you like, oh, just take a break. Like everyone will be here when you're back. And that's not true, by the way. That is not how that works. Yeah, like you really can't. And so like I'm not gonna like sit here and whine because I love being able to do this. Like I love being able to play this game a bunch, and I love being able to like make content and stuff, and I think it's like super awesome. But just like for those of you who are being like, man, he's so privileged. Like I put this in your head for like a second. The meta's in a horrible spot. The worst spot the meta's been in for you, whatever that is, picture that. You play ladder on stream for hours a day, and then you get off stream and you play ladder to make a YouTube video. And then you have to make other content talking about the ladder. And then you do it again the next day. And you have to be good at the game. You could just like, meme it up, but like we can't. Our brand is like being good at the game, right? You can't be mastering Runeterra and be like bronze.
Yeah, I also just want to work. Like you can't fake it, which is another part. Like we want to compete.
Yeah. We're competitors, like but yeah, like it can be tough. And for the most part, that's not the case. For the most part, I get up, I'm excited to get on stream. I love hanging out with everybody. I'm excited to make a YouTube video about this cool deck I found, right? Like I'm excited about all that stuff. But every now and then you just have a bad day like everyone else. And it's so like in my other jobs, you have a bad day and you kind of phone it in, right? You just like, you show up and you kind of like meander your way through the day. But like if you phone it in for like a stream, everybody can tell. Everybody can tell.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
It's bad. And then people don't watch you anymore. They'll click you. Maybe they show up to your stream for the first time. You're not having a good day. And so the guy clicks off, and they're never gonna click on you again. And that's it. And like we're lucky enough. You've kind of throttled back on the streaming, so I'm gonna go with me. Also, I'm so much more important, obviously.
That's very true. Everyone knows that.
I'm so humble too, by the way. Like I'm very lucky to be in the position I am, or I have like quite an audience on Twitch. I tend to be one of the higher like watch streams for Legends of Runeterra, at least English speaking, which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, like these problems still show up, and I always wondered that when I was like watching people who were like streamers or YouTubers. Years ago, my friends they'd ask me, they'd be like, "Would you ever like want to be a streamer?" And I was like, "Hell no, dude." Could you imagine if you had a bad day and you still got to show up and sit in front of a camera for 8 hours? That sounds awful. And it is. It sucks. But like, it's a job. You do it. And this is what I want to do like for full time. This is what we want to do full time. And I'm not saying like, do not take this as like, oh my God, it sucks. Everything. This isn't magical Christmas land like I was promised. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. The vast majority of the time, I absolutely love doing all of it. But it's my podcast, so I'm gonna whine.
That's right. We can do what we want. Yeah, so you make some really good points there. So, harkening a little bit back to the social aspect, I think that's been a part of it that's been missing for me and why I'm struggling. Also, something that we always talk about is, not playing just to win and trying to have a learning mindset and always trying to learn to improve. And I very much feel in the latter like I'm just trying to get there. I'll try to okay, I pick up GP Sag. I'm like, okay, I'm learning this deck. That's cool for 3 days or something, and then I'm just trying to win. I just want to win. I just want to get to 550 LP. I sort of feel the pressure of being like, fuck, maybe I'm not going to make it there. Maybe I'll have to go 8-1 at seasonals. And I'm like, oh, that's added fucking pressure. So yeah, I think, definitely the social aspects is big. I love it when we get to do the podcast or we do the the YouTube videos or whatever. It's so much more fun, so much more enjoyable than
You know what was
when
super
I'm
fun?
doing things on my own.
The Brazil League thing that we did, that we're still doing.
Are doing.
Where it's like the team, it's the 3v3. So like we got to hang out on a team call and like play like a tournament match together. That was so cool. That was super fun.
Yeah, we had a bye week last week. First we got throttled, and then we showed up late and got disqualified, and then we had a bye week. Today is week 4. We finally get to play for the second time.
We finally get to play again. Yeah, we should. The first week we're like, hey, anybody know when this tournament league thing is? And then I think you were like, I think it's in like an hour. And we're like, what?
Deck list. We need
like,
deck list.
Who's playing? You're here. You could play. Like, yeah. We had like horrible lineups and everything.
Yeah, it didn't go so great for us, but that was super fun. And I'm not going to be playing with the team because there's 7 of us, so it's 4 at a time. So I wish you guys all the best, first off. And second off, though, yeah, I forgot about how it's been a month now. I forgot about how much fun that was. I didn't even share my screen because I was looking at like yours. And it felt like it was going to be too much. I was also like conscientious of playing my matches.
Nobody watched my
misplays. I'm just gonna suck over here by myself.
Yeah.
I just got smashed. Those lineups were not good. Anyways, harkening all the way back to like content creation and whatnot. So I streamed a bunch. I streamed for like 4.5 months every single day.
Let's talk about how we got here for the people who don't know. So go ahead.
Oh, love it.
It seems like you were starting it already, so I'm just putting you on the track.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on how far back you want to go, I'll try to nutshell it. But at the beginning of COVID, I won a Magic Grand Prix, which is a pretty large event. I kind of used that to try and like propel like a streaming career. I started a podcast with Seth Manfield, the Danny T-Law, who are very large in the Magic space. If you don't know who they are, it was doing the same sort of thing. It was awesome. Loved it. Played in some. I qualified for a bunch of large tournaments. Didn't do particularly well in them. Magic just got really kind of toxic and stale. I don't know, Runeterra kind of popped on my radar, and I always want to try it. I gave it a try, and I was just like, whoa, this is awesome. Shout out Nick Makes Plays, like, dropped into my stream and was like, hey man, like, let me help you out. And like, just everyone from the community was just super, just embraced me. I felt like, just were like, yeah, come, you're one of us, welcome. Here's how all this stuff works. It's super awesome and fun. And the game is just fantastic, as I'm sure everyone listening knows. And, so yeah, that's kind of how I like got sort of. I kept waiting for it to get like not good. I was waiting for like the other shoe to drop. I'm like, okay, the game's awesome, but like, why is anyone streaming it? Why is anyone playing it? Are there just no tournaments? Oh, there's seasonals now. Some money there. Like okay, like is the game too simple? Oh no, I got some coaching from Alan. Turns out game's like crazy deep. He's like, turn 1. Okay, on turn 8, he's going to play this card. We need this card. Like, this is how the game's going to go. I was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, that's how it works? And just fell in love with it. And then fast forward to, I was one of Bay's first subscribers. I got that first badge.
The founder badge,
yeah. I love a founder badge. I love seeing that. I'm like, yeah, did it. And I remember you hit like number 1 with Lisa and Zoe. And I was like, oh shit, this guy must be pretty good. And Seasonals number 1 went by, and for Seasonals number 2, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start like a little team. Like I need to like start, like I need like some people to test with. So I grabbed Bay, Push P, What Am I, Jay Sensational, Kever,
and Z Turtle.
And Z Turtle as our like original little team, who are basically AKA like people that hung out in my chat that had done well.
That's basically what it was.
Cool.
It was like the good players who would like come by on stream and say hi, and then we just made a little Discord server and we would talk about stuff, information that we then share with you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome how we've all just coalesced. Most teams tend to have like some sort of issues, or there's like it's hard to get like a bunch of people together that can agree on things. And then we started the podcast. I was wanting to do the same thing I was doing in Magic in Runeterra, because there also wasn't there was not a lot of people doing it. You know, there wasn't like a lot of podcasts. There weren't like a Patreon. There wasn't really a team. And so I remember messaging you and be like, "Hey man, like what are your goals like in Runeterra?" You're like, "I want it all. I want to be a big streamer.
Yeah.
I want to do it all. I want to like win all the seasonals." And I was like, "That's my guy." I was like, "Yeah, you want to start a podcast?" You're like, "Yeah, okay, sounds good." And then like a week later, you won seasonals, and I was like, "We need to start the podcast right now."
Good thing I locked him down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like good thing I got him before that. It would be so bad. If you're like you win seasonals, I was like, "Hey man, now that you're like good,
you want to start a podcast?
You want to team up?"
So you got me early.
Yeah. Hook, line, sinker. And then we just built it out from here. We added some more people to the team. We grew the Patreon. Your stream has blown up since you've won seasonals. So yeah, I mean that's kind of like our little story in a nutshell. We've met people on the way that have helped us out.
YouTube content for Mastering Runeterra that's not just podcast related, which has been received quite well.
Yeah.
So yeah, gonna keep doing that. I started in Magic, but I stopped playing Magic before Runeterra and stuff. I qualified for Pro Tour way back when. It didn't go quite as I expected. I don't know. It was just like the Magic used to be all about like selling the dream. Magic's slogan for the Pro Tour used to be like, what was it? Play the game, see the world.
Yeah.
Which was the coolest thing. And to be fair, that is what I did, right? I went to like Dublin, Ireland, and I was supposed to go to Japan and stuff, just to play the game. And that's like super awesome. But I don't know. I finally got to this upper echelon of play, and I looked around, and it wasn't quite the dream I'd been sold.
That happens to most people.
Yeah. And that was kind of a shock to me. And
which parts of it were not what you thought they would be?
Well, most of the people there were just like random people, which is fair because I was a random person, right? But like I don't know, it like I expected it to be bigger,
special.
Yeah, I expected it to be more special. The people who like were the people, the pros, right? They wanted to do well, but like they're barely making enough money to get by.
Phoning it in.
Yeah, they're phoning it in. Most of them didn't even care. They're there for the paycheck to like show up and stuff. And
yeah.
And I was just what is that like word where
don't meet your idols, that kind of thing. Don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, it was. I actually most of the pros were very nice. I met quite a few very very cool players. Played against a lot of them. And that was great and everything. But like it just wasn't it wasn't the end goal for me anymore. Like I showed like up until that point I would I obviously my career wasn't like I'm just gonna play this card game and then show up and like be the best there ever was and make $1 million. But I was like, okay, I know that there's pros in this game, and if I can get there, I would really like to play this professionally where I could like support myself and make like enough money to do that, to like support myself on financially. I've always been very like money minded, like saving for retirement and stuff, and investing is like very, very important to me. And so I got there and looked around and just realized that like, this ain't it. You can't really do that. This isn't stable income in any way, shape or form. And the people that are here are not living the life I want to be living. So,
and I think a lot of that, I think, comes from the mistreatment from WotC.
Yes.
Like you ever been to a toxic work environment and you show up and you're all gung ho for your new job, and then like your like manager or like your coworkers like, yeah, F this place, like no, like they're all scum here, like this sucks, like you're like, and just real quick, that's just how it is, and like everyone else that comes in, like the dream gets killed.
It sucks showing up to work, but that's like the paycheck, that's the job, and that's like the feeling I was getting from these other pro players. And like they're couch surfing every week to make it to these tournaments. They're flying bad hours. They never see their family. They'll play GPs. I was like, this isn't it for me. So I kind of stepped away, and I was, young. I was like 21, 20. And Magic had kind of revitalized its professional scene. They now had what they called Mythic Invitationals, which were like huge money events, like $1 million up top, only like 100 players. And they had like salaried pros now and stuff.
Not quite $1 million up top. The largest one was $1 million prize pool, 250 up top.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
And they only had one of those.
You're right. Yeah, the very first one over. So $1 million prize pool, and they had salary pros with the Magic Pro League. They were like doing a lot of good things, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot again. So I spent a couple months. I practiced really hard on Magic Arena, and I qualified for the Mythic Invitational, which got canceled because of COVID. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Can't really blame them for that. But what I can blame them for is that when they brought it back, they took the prize pool from $1 million and cut it to $250,000. And not only did they do that, they quadrupled the amount of players in the event. They took the people from all the Mythic Invitationals, put it into one, and then cut the prize pool in a quarter. So like it's like an eighth, right? Or whatever. I don't know how math works. Probably even less than that. And so the first place went from $250,000 to $10,000. And this is all awful and like really terrible. But like what killed me is that they tried to sell it to all of us as like a really good thing.
Yeah. They had the audacity to take your money, make it even harder for you to get what little money was left, and then tell you it was for your own benefit.
Yep. And I was like, all right, fuck this. Like, I'm out. So I left Magic. And what I came to realize after like doing some research, and like I have friends who like stream a little bit, and I have friends who are friends of streamers. That was the big one. People that like names you would recognize, like you probably wouldn't, but maybe the audience would. And so I figured out how these like pros make their money. And almost all of them have some sort of content creation thing. Unless it's like League, right? Or like CSGO or Dota or like some huge esports scene. Most of the people who are like kind of living it up, the big figures in like a gaming community, are the content creators. They're the streamers and the YouTubers that are doing very well. And maybe they're very strong players on top of that. But like, if it's for the money, that's where it's at. And I was kind of like, oh, like I never thought about that part of the equation really, because like to me, I was just like, oh, I'm just going to be the best Magic player, and then I'm going to make lots of money and get all the cute e-girls. And so I never really considered that. And then Runeterra came around, and I tried it, and I didn't like it. And then I tried it again when the next set came out, and I didn't like it a little less. And then I tried it.
When did you start? Did you start in beta the first time?
Beta. We're like week 1.
Yeah.
I tried it, and it was simple, which is expected for a game that's like literally just releasing. It was too simple. I'd come from Magic, which is like one of the more complex card games out there. There's tens of thousands of cards. To Runeterra, which had like hundreds, like just a few hundred. It just, the complexity wasn't there. The decks were practically built for you because there just wasn't any other options. And then the next set came out. The champions got a little more complex. We got, Bilgewater, things like Misfortune, Twist of Fate. I was like, this is kind of cool. But still too simple. And then I tried it again on the next expansion, and I was a little more into it. And then they announced seasonals. And I had no real reason to get into the game outside of it'd be a fun card game. Ladder didn't matter. There was no tournaments. There was community tournaments, but like I said, I don't like community tournaments. I I like to play for stakes, which, if community tournaments have stakes, then like I'm down. But I have a lot. I have a lot. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I've spent an entire weekend and like, I won $25 for first place, and I'm like,
the largest community tournament ever, I think, was around $2,000 total prize pool.
Yeah.
So pales in comparison to like seasonals.
Exactly. So yeah, I had really no reason to play, and then seasonals came around, and I was like, okay, when they really, because they said they released, and you saw the article, and it also caused you to play. They released an article that said Path to Pro. That was the wording they used. Path to Pro.
I think it was a tweet, actually.
It might have been a tweet, but it hooked me, right? And I was like, okay, I'll wait. I'll wait. And then when you announce this Path to Pro, I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna give it a shot. And they finally announced seasonals in November. And I was there. That was also coincidentally, it was the same time Zoe was released, which is the one champion that I was excited to try out in Runeterra. Also, by far my most played champion in Runeterra. So that worked out really well for me. But yeah, so I really jumped into the game once they like actually announced seasonals. Worked really hard, got to Masters, didn't stream or anything. I was just a dude playing the game. And then I top 32'd. Top 32 the first seasonals. And I sucked. But like, I think a lot of people sucked back then. People really hadn't figured it out yet. I think the top players at the time were like miles ahead of the rest. And then I was just kind of like dirtling around with like, okay, this is card advantage. And that like somehow put me ahead of like a few people, right? So I top 32 the first seasonal, and it was like, I was stoked, and it was kind of a big deal because, like I wanted to be a part of this like Path to Pro thing. And so my buddy, who had been pushing me for years to start streaming.
Oh, wow.
He came to town. He's like, dude, he's like, you're one of the like the better Magic players in like your area and everything. He's like, you play in these big tournaments. He's like, you need to start streaming. He's like, you have the personality for it, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, man, I got the personality for nothing. I was like, nobody wants to watch me. I'd never watched streams, by the way, like never. I had not seen them. I'd seen clips, but I'd never gone onto Twitch and watched a stream before, until after I started streaming. So yes, top 32. My buddy's like, yo, dog, now's the time. You should start streaming. And I was like, whatever, dude. I'll start streaming. And so, yeah, I started streaming. I shortly after hit rank 1 with Zoe Lee, which was huge for me. Because all of a sudden people saw my name pop up on the leaderboard. And then when they go on Twitch and they saw my name, they would click on it, right? Where it's like...
Yeah, it's so cool that they have that. Magic Arena does not have that.
No.
They don't have... It seems like the easiest thing ever to implement, and it's super cool. It makes it so much fun, and you can see how many points everyone has. You know how far you can catch them. In Magic Arena, you're just in the dark. You could be number 2, and you can win 10 games in a row, still be number 2. Just don't even know.
You might be number 3. Nobody knows. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the leaderboard system is really nice, and like I said, it pushed my stream forward. I was incredibly fortunate. I was in the right place at the right time, and my stream started doing very well practically immediately. My initial goal when I started streaming was I wanted to be affiliate in 3 months, which is where you need to have an average of 3 viewers. And in 3 months, I was partnered. I was applying for partnership, which is where you have to have like an average of 75 viewers and like a bunch of other things. So like it went beyond my wildest dreams, right? It did very, very well. And then I won seasonals, which was huge, obviously, for a multitude of reasons. But it kind of cemented me in the community, and stream blew up even more. And now I'm one of the most popular Legends of Runeterra streamers. Top 5, probably. Anytime I'm live, I'll be most likely in the top 3 of the streams, which is super fantastic and everything. And I thought, we made it. We're here.
Done.
I'm just going to wait for the money to start rolling in, right?
500 concurrent viewers? Are you
500,
kidding me?
I was averaging like 500 concurrent viewers in my best month. Not many people get that. And I was told by people who had no idea what they were talking about that that's just, you made it, right? Like by a bunch of people, because I when I most of you would probably not be surprised to hear this, but when I like get interested in something, I like get like kind of obsessed with it, and I like super study it. So that happens with Runeterra, it happens with Magic, it happens with whatever I do. So I studied every forum I could on streaming and content creation. Everything, anything I could get my hands on, I'd read. And there was a lot of Reddit threads from people who were trying to make Twitch a career or just trying to start streaming. And essentially the common sentiment was when you had 100 plus viewers, you've made it, you've done it. And I was like, cool, I'm sitting at 500 concurrent viewers. Like, I've made it, I've done it.
I super made it. And I had like a really good month, the month I won seasonals. And then like after that, I didn't have a very good month. And then the next month I had a less good month. Not just like viewer wise, I'm talking more like money wise, because I'm gonna break the fourth wall of it. Normally streamers and YouTubers don't talk about this. I love talking about this stuff. I think people need to know, because I wish I'd have known exactly how it worked. Twitch money is garbage. It's bad. It's beyond garbage.
It's beyond garbage, because Twitch does not pay you. Now, you might be saying, yes, they do. They pay you for ads. And you're right. You're right. But I'm talking really like $12 a month, maybe. All your money comes from your viewers, which can be very, very lucrative. But I absolutely hate asking my viewers to like sub to me. I will never do it.
It sucks for a bunch of reasons. One, you're like panhandling. You know, you might as well be like out on the street, like just performing for people with your hat on the ground. Nothing wrong with that. But it's, you know, there's a bunch of problems with it. Like, it's not a stable income. It's not, it doesn't make you feel good all the time. You don't have to like beg people for money.
It makes me feel like I'm using these people who are like coming here to hang out and like watch content,
and conversely, when you look at YouTube, you just get to make awesome content that you like for a bunch of people, and then ad money from big corporations just comes just flowing in like a freaking. It's like if you were like, okay, how do I? This is a YouTube fire hydrant. I open the thing.
Oh god, yeah. So yeah, like again, what happens if you're a Twitch streamer and you're sick for 2 weeks? You're screwed.
Yeah. Or anything else. Where your family members is sick.
Anything.
You go
what if you want to go on vacation?
Maybe you're in a part of the world where like the internet's and the electricity is screwed, which happens lots of places.
Anything could happen. Computer problems. Like anything could happen. And when you're not live on Twitch, you don't exist.
Yep. You're making no money.
That's how it works. And
whereas,
so
again, YouTube still there, always making you money 24/7.
So again, I was like, this is not the dream I'd been promised. But this time I realized Go ahead.
So you said, you obviously had the big month after, because this kind of ties into why I stream a little bit less now. You had a big month after you won seasonals, and the next month was a little bit worse, and the next month was a little bit worse. How much money did you make streaming full time, like in that third month?
I made $450.
$450 as like someone who has made it. At that point, you probably had like what, 300 concurrent viewers, somewhere around there.
300 to 400 average.
Yeah. Which
this is not 300 to 400 like peak. It's like 300 to 400 average.
Yeah.
I stream 4 days a week for 4 hours a day, which is not like a ton.
Thousands of people that are coming in and out.
But and so I realized, and you'd be like, oh, maybe like if you stream double, you'd make double the money. And I'd be like, okay, yeah. So now I'm like literally working full-time hours just doing Twitch, and I'm making $900 a month.
Yeah.
I can't live on that.
You can make more money going to work at like McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's would pay me more.
Anywhere.
It'd be less fun, but yeah, I could. And so once again, I was like, this is not exactly the dream I've been promised, but I realized that this was, other people were making this work, and it was me. Like, I'm not seeing something, right? I know other people did YouTube, but like, I didn't quite really know how it works. I released a couple YouTube videos, right? I wasn't like monetized or anything, and I didn't have the computer for it. So finally had the computer for it because I won seasonals, spent that on upgrading some of my stuff so I can make better content. And I saw Saucy Mailman tweet out, shout out to Saucy, by the way, our sister podcast, Saucy and Buttons.
Love you, Saucy.
I saw Saucy Mailman tweet out that he was finally going to make the plunge and go full time. And I'm also been going full time. Luckily, I had one seasonal, so I had that bit of a net just in case anything happened. But I was like, okay, Saucy has less viewers than me. At any given point, I think Saucy averages around 100 viewers, which is not a small amount by any sense of imagination. But it's a lot less than me. And I was wondering what he was doing different, right? So I shot him a message, and I was like, yo, Saucy, like, can I give you a call sometime? Like, I'm trying to make this work, and I'm just not getting it. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. I see that you're going full-time now. Can you talk me through it? And he's like, yeah, of course. And so I called him up one day, and he was just so helpful, so incredibly helpful. He walked me through everything he's doing, how much all this stuff is bringing in. And what I basically realized is that, like, YouTube's king.
Yeah.
I've heard this over and over and over again, and it just bounced off me, is that you need to be making content on a more searchable platform. I thought I didn't need to do that because I already had the Twitch following. But in reality, not only does it bring in a bunch more audience from your evergreen content, right? People, like, a lot more people watch YouTube than watch Twitch, and it funnels them into your Twitch. But you make money from YouTube just for having videos. Not like a ton, right? Like, we're talking like $3 per 1,000 views is, like, I think what my stuff is or whatever. But when you're posting a lot, it adds up. And when it doesn't need to be your full income portfolio, then it's even more, right? Like, we have our podcast Patreon. Shout out to the patrons, by the way. Thank you for supporting us. Really appreciate it. You pay my rent. And then, Twitch, which I've been having, bad months, and it's been about 450, 500. And then you have YouTube on top of that. And I'm just now getting to the point on my YouTube channel where it's comparable to Twitch after about 2 months of posting every day. And then I expect it to absolutely blow by it in the next couple months.
Yeah, because it grows exponentially.
It grows
whereas
exponentially.
Twitch doesn't.
It really does. I had 1,000 subs last month, and I have 3,000 as of this morning.
Yeah, so how long did it take you to get to 1,000?
About 2 to 3 months.
And then how long did it take you to go from 1,000 to 3,000?
1 month.
Yeah, so you can see the graph there of how it's like just going up and up and up and up and up and faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
And as all those things go up, as you get more subscribers, as your videos get more views, as they get more watch time, as YouTube then puts them out to more people, obviously more views equal more ads, equal more revenue, and it just grows and grows and grows.
Sponsorships, into brand deals, all these kinds of things. Yeah, like it's just so much more. And Twitch doesn't really grow exponentially. Twitch grows not linearly. There's one more.
It doesn't even grow in a straight line at all, or any sort of line. Because imagine next season is like Aurelia 2.0, just like another, just like somehow it's a terrible ladder experience, and I don't know, Riot does something that people aren't happy with, and people, like, you've seen it, the numbers go way down in viewership,
yeah,
and people that are playing, and and God forbid you go try and stream another game. That's not happening, because then everyone's out. And so it doesn't really grow.
There's no searchability. People aren't going to find you. They will, but, like, not to this level.
Runeterra is small enough currently that you have that luxury, but most games you don't.
You don't. And YouTube pushes your content for you. If you make good content and people watch it, YouTube will put it in front of more people. And if more people watch it, YouTube will push it more, which I'm seeing, luckily enough, on my YouTube videos. Every week, my average views skyrocket. Skyrocket to me, right? That means I go from a video did 100 views in its first day to, okay, now it does 500 views. And then now I'm sad if my video doesn't get 2,000 views on the first day. So, like, yeah, it definitely, it grows it grows like this. And then even if I have to take 2 weeks off because I'm sick or whatever, I can just, or I want to go on vacation, I can record 2 weeks of YouTube videos, and no one will even know, right? Like,
well, I mean, that's also the kind of expectation.
Yeah. But so basically,
but you can't do that with streaming.
You can't do that with streaming.
You just make no money.
You make no money. You make no money, and people when people are not in the habit of watching you and you're live, they won't watch you anymore. Sometimes they will, but that's what you want, is you want to build that audience that comes back like every day. And if you're gone for a week, 2 weeks, a month, you no longer have that. Yeah, like your old regulars will come back, right? But you lose the guys who are just clicking in. And so basically, very long story short, what I'm getting at is that if you want to be a pro streamer, content creator, player, is that you have to branch out. You have to have a lot of different streams of income. You're not going to make enough off prize money. You're not going to make enough off your Twitch stream. I mean, maybe if you have like 3,000 viewers, right? Like maybe Grappler and Swim could live full time off just their Twitch stream. But even they have YouTube channels for a reason. Swim signed to an esports org. That's more income there. It really is just all these different things put together. Yeah.
You need multiple revenue streams, and then also, you're wearing multiple hats. You're a social media manager because you got to promote your stuff. You're a video editor because you got to know how to like make your videos, record them, slice them up, put them back together, make thumbnails, understand a little bit about metadata.
And you gotta be good at the game.
And then you have to be good at the game. And like, that's so like, rewind like a couple months ago, basically when Bay had that month where he made like $450, I was like, holy, because I was averaging probably around 100 viewers concurrent at the time. And like, I wanted to get to the level you were, where you're at like 300 to 500. And I was like, Jesus, like, I'm going to like make this huge jump and like, or do all this work. And then like, there's nothing there at the end. And don't get me wrong. There are like, times where you do make more money than that.
Oh yeah.
Like what was your best month after you won seasonals and everyone was in your month or in your
$2,300 or something?
Yeah. So, and that's another problem with Twitch though, is that it fluctuates like that so wildly. Cause again, you were just asking people for money. Twitch doesn't really pay you. They're a platform where you get to entertain people and, ask them to help support you kind of thing. Whereas YouTube is like an actual like wage practically. You can almost count on it. It fluctuates a little bit. So
and
that's
then every now and then
like,
there's an adpocalypse and you're screwed, but like,
it doesn't bounce back so fast. Nobody even remembers that. So that's why I was like, man, I'm putting in all this, like, so much time and effort trying to make my stream look good. Just the actual time streaming. I was like, for what? It's just like, there's no prize at the end. There's no carrot at the end. And I was struggling
monetarily.
Streaming's
a blast.
It's so much fun. I think I find it a lot like going to the gym, where I'm like, I don't know, I don't even feel like doing it today. I'm like dragging ass. And as soon as I do it, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I'm so glad I'm streaming right now. Yeah.
I drag myself to the computer, turn on the camera, open Runeterra, and then people start popping into the chat, and I'm having so much fun. Yeah, I'm like, what's up, guys?
How you been?
How you guys doing? Yeah.
And that really, I think, brings us full circle.
Change happens. Go ahead.
Yeah, so fast. I was going to say, it brings you back to the social aspect of... And maybe that's why I'm struggling right now with the game, because I haven't been streaming very much. And literally all I do is like make content for YouTube, do some coaching, do our team calls, and then like play on the ladder. And it's just like other than you, I don't see anyone. I see no one. I see you a bunch, and then I'm just like, I'm in our Discord a bunch. Chat with people, but like, the last couple months have been very solitary, and the little bit of streaming I did do, I had a lot of fun. I was like, it was like seeing your friends again after COVID. I was like,
exactly. Yeah, you're like, hey, what's going on, guys?
I was ecstatic. And so Yeah, it sounds like maybe I need to stream some more. I've had a bunch of like just life stuff come up. Some like family members got sick and I had to help them out, and like softball started back up again. I was like excited to go do that. And so yeah, it's been really tough, like just managing time and having love for the game and being good enough at it, and also trying to make money at it. It's a very delicate balance. Mm-hmm. To find. You seem to be doing a pretty good job with it.
I'm doing my best. I enjoy it, and that's, I think, the biggest thing.
I hate it. It's the worst. I'm gonna retire from this podcast tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. I love it too.
But yeah, if I like wasn't enjoying like playing on ladder, if it was a Zeralia and I had to make a YouTube video on a new deck every single day, I would probably shoot myself.
I'm so jealous of you that you ran it up real early and just are able to camp it now.
And just sat there. Yeah. I always looked at people who did that. I was like, oh my God, one of these seasons I just need to do that. I just need to run it up in like the first 2 weeks and just sit on it. And then I finally did it, and it was like the biggest weight like lifted from my shoulders. I was like, finally. It's like up here, top 10, don't gotta worry about it. But yeah, my schedule is, and your schedule, I know, because we talk about this all the time, is slammed. This stuff takes a lot of time. I've often said,
much time.
Anyone who asks about streaming, I tell them that the easiest part of streaming is being on stream.
Yes.
The actual streaming is the easiest part of streaming, because you have to be like you said, like a social media manager, right? I had to make a Twitter. I've never been on Twitter. I don't like Twitter. Now I like Twitter, but like I had to like make a Twitter for this stuff. I have Discords I got to be in, people to talk to. People are always messaging me. We do this. I have YouTube, I have Twitch. I have to be really good at the game, which takes like a lot of time. And you can't just like practice on Twitch. Like, yeah, I can, but then I have to like ignore chat, which ruins the whole point of streaming for me. So I'm not going to do that. But like, maybe we walk people through our day.
Yeah. This last recently has been, I've been trying to do a bunch of things. And so like, I made a schedule for myself. I get up at 6 a.m. I work out until 7. I like have breakfast, get ready till 8. I record I was recording a video for my YouTube channel from 8 to 9. I would try to edit and upload that from 9 to 10. I would record with you for Mastering Runeterra from 10 to 12 or maybe 1. And then whatever we've recorded there, I would edit and upload from like 1 to 2. And then or I think I have lunch in there somewhere. And then I edit, so we're talking about like 3 o'clock ish now. And then from 3 to 6, I have some time to actually play the game, like ladder, and catch up on Discord and emails and whatever. And then from 6 to 9, I was going to stream, and then I was going to go to bed and get up and do it all over again. Shockingly, somehow, I did not maintain the schedule particularly well or rigorously, because just a whole bunch of things would get thrown at me, and then everything would just get like shuffled around and screwed up and moved out of order, and it's been really hard to keep on track. Also, somewhat, and then from like 9 to like 11, I try and spend time with my girlfriend, Sharon, for anyone who knows her. And then we pass out and like get up and do it all over again. But like really, we go to bed at like 1, and then the dogs wake up at 5. And then we're just like never sleeping. And I've just become extremely sleep deprived. So I don't know what needs to happen or change, but like my schedule is not working out.
It's not doing it. My schedule is a bit different. I wake up at 9, about 9 to 10-ish. We get together at 10. We record for Mastering Runeterra YouTube, and like recording for Mastering, like when we say recording for Mastering Runeterra YouTube, we're not strictly recording for like 3 hours. We have to decide what we're going to be recording, what we're going to be doing through the week, what thumbnails we need to be made, what
setting up the shots, content, getting all the assets.
Yeah, like there's a lot that goes into it. This is like an everyday thing, and so that's from like 10 to 1 about, and then I have lunch and I try to go to the gym before my stream time of 4. Sometimes I don't make it. And then I stream from about 4 to 8, 8:30. Get off there, have some dinner. I take 30 minutes to do whatever. And then I try to start recording for my YouTube channel at 10 o'clock. This goes to about 12:30 once you have all the editing and everything and it's all finished uploading. And then maybe I read a book for a half hour and I go to bed. And yeah, it's like it's an all day thing. And I feel like I know I am getting better at like condensing it. YouTube videos used to take me 5 hours. Now they take me an hour and a half. But I give myself extra leeway because like it has to process when I like export it, and then it has to like process when I upload it to YouTube, and I gotta make the thumbnail and blah, 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 blah.
That's another thing. Yeah, there's waiting around times, right? It's like, okay, so you record. Okay, so first you decide what you're recording, then you're actually recording, and then you're editing that, and then you're exporting that edit, which takes a decent amount of time. All of that takes time, and then you upload it, which takes a little bit of time, and then it processes on YouTube, which takes a little bit of time, and then you fill in all the metadata and like fill in all the information.
You gotta do your description. You gotta do all the tags. You gotta
share it on Twitter and Discord, and so like. So much goes into releasing like a YouTube video that isn't just recording it, editing it, or posting it. There's just
same thing with streaming. So much goes into streaming that isn't just being on stream, and people don't really see that. And unfortunately, as we discussed, it is important to do a lot of different things. Can you make it as just a streamer? Yeah, totally. Can you make it as just a YouTuber? 100%. You can be Mogwai, but like. It's much more difficult. And if you're looking to make this a full-time thing, if you want this to be a career, you really got to do it all. And that is a lot of stuff. Like, notice in my schedule, nowhere in there was like practice or like play the game.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I play for YouTube and I play for stream, but like I mentioned, like that's not really practicing. That's me like playing, and maybe I'm like trying to be a little more entertaining than normal. Yeah, I'm kind of like going through the motions, and I'm like explaining things to people, and I'm talking to people in chat, and like, yeah, it's not really like actual practice. And so that's what I do for a lot of those empty slots during my day. And yeah, then I have not much day left, and it's super easy to get burnt out. Super easy. So yeah, a lot of times I just wake up and I'm like, not happening today. And I just go like, all right, guys, super short stream today. And then I record my YouTube video. That is the one thing I force myself to do every single day. If I get nothing else done, I have to do my YouTube video. And I like to have that one thing. Like it's always one thing for me. Like it used to be like, if I do nothing else, I go to the gym today. If I do nothing else, I practice piano for 45 minutes, right? Like whatever it is, I like to have that one thing that I can feel good about at the end of the day. That way, like if I have to take a day off, I do my one thing and then I can be guilt-free for the rest of the day. And I feel that really helps me. But yeah, and I'm seeing the success, right? I'm seeing the growth. I'm putting in the work and it is working out for me. And that's super awesome. But I feel so much for the people who do put in all the same work and aren't seeing the growth. Like Runeterra is a little different because like you said, it's such a small community. Like the amount of streamers on Twitch for Runeterra are pretty small, so you could get discovered pretty easily. Doesn't mean you're going to retain a lot of viewers, but people will click on your stream, which is probably the hardest part. But could you imagine trying to make it as like a League of Legends streamer, like the most saturated content on planet Earth? Fortnite streamer, right? And you're just streaming and you're putting YouTube and you're doing this every single day. You're just plugging, and no growth, no money. Like, oh my God. So we are fortunate, right?
We are very
and we have a
lucky.
Great community. Everyone in the Runeterra community is awesome. They're so nice. And like everyone wants everyone to do well. And it's so refreshing and everything. And it keeps me going.
Literally all I have to do to make myself feel better after feeling burnt out or whatever is be like, you could still be making magic content with a lot of the people from that community. Like, oh.
I just think about how I used to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go like dig ditches or like jump in manholes and stuff like that. Like construction ain't it, man. Yeah. The actual construction work wasn't bad. I'm not gonna lie. The construction work wasn't bad. It was like the atmosphere in construction that I hated. A lot of very abrasive people.
Yeah, the environment that you work in is
Pretty important.
very important. And yeah, as we need to wrap up here because I actually need to.
We've been rambling about this for like an hour and a half. Yeah.
It's great though. You know, I do want to say thank you, Bay, for doing all this with me because speaking of environment, I love doing these videos with you. The podcast,
these
the videos that we do for YouTube. It's fantastic. And, you know, we have a lot of fun doing it. And I know we just bitched for like an hour about all the things that are tough and stuff. But we really do enjoy it. And we kind of want to just make this video to sort of share just like what it looks like kind of behind the scenes and what our journey's been like. And, you know, it's inspiring to see how far we've come in such a little amount of time. And I'm excited to see where we're going to be like at the end of the year or a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now.
8 months?
Like,
7 months?
Like
not
nothing.
even a year. Nothing.
Yeah. Not even a year yet.
And we haven't even hung out in real life. Right?
We have
Give
not
us IRL
met
events.
in real life. How crazy is that? I forget sometimes. I totally forget. I see you. I see you more than I see almost any other living person that's like doesn't live in my house kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. I
That's
think it's
wild.
the same way for me. It's kind of funny.
It's gonna happen though, right?
Eventually.
If not sooner. Like you have a ticket up to Vancouver on your way to Korea,
Yep.
as long as that doesn't get like kiboshed by COVID or something.
Probably get pushed back like 90.
Super excited. Yeah, it's blowing back up. Super excited that you know, one day we will have real life Runeterra tournaments, and that is going to be so much fun to meet everyone from the community. It's going to be a blast. I feel like that first one's going to be an absolute rager. It's going to be like probably the one people talk about for the whispered tales.
Everyone's going to show up for the
tours.
tournament just hungover or something. Like,
Seasonals 5 years later, like remember the first one.
Remember the first one? Yeah. Oh my god.
Crazy. Okay, well, I need to get out of here. We should wrap this up. It's been a solid hour and 20 minutes. This is probably our longest podcast of all time. So from us, you know, first off, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You know, we couldn't do this without you. So seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much. And, you know, if you're feeling any of the same struggles as we are, know that you're not alone. And try to keep a learning mindset. Mindset really is everything.
It's
if you're
key,
on the grind, no matter what grind it is. And with that, I think we will say goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. New episodes come out every Friday. If you haven't done so already, be sure to join us on Discord, check out the Patreon team, and have a look at our deck database on Twitter at Master Runeterra. Links to all of these can be found in the show notes and description.